Welcome back, fam. If you're tuning in from part one, you already know we're completely pulling back the curtain on how real time market data actually works. If you missed it, make sure you hit that pause button and go back and catch up on the foundation. But for everyone here ready to step into the engine room and execute right now, welcome to part two. I'm your host, Marcus Sturman Sr., and we're having a great conversation with Ron Faloona over there at Benzinga. When it comes to cutting through the financial media noise, tracking real time catalysts, and finding a definitive data edge before the rest of the world even wakes up, very few people understand the plummet of the markets like this man. He didn't start his journey in an institutional ivory tower. He started exactly where many of you are, in the trenches, YouTube's, digital chat rooms, teaching himself the game from the ground up. He went from a dedicated subscriber to the director of customer success at Menzinga and the host of a very successful AM show. He commands the pre-market playbook over there on Bazinga Pro. He's an absolute powerhouse when it comes to translating order flows, unusual option activities, and level 2 data into pure, executable clarity for everyday wealth builders. In part one, we laid out the macro map. In part two, we're going to dive even deeper. Welcome back. Hit that like button, and let's welcome Ron Faloona. Good stuff. Part two starts right now. People don't generally think about when you say trading and you say trader, people like if they were to check out a show and we talk about trades, they talk about trading. People usually think that's like happening in a day, 0 day expiration options. But you're telling people like trading can be a longer term investment. It should be a longer term investment. Tell people go a little bit deeper into like how you kind of structure your portfolio. You don't have to tell individual positions, but like how you kind of build it out as a trader.
Yes, that's great. That's a really good thing to talk about. So first of all, I day trade every day. To be quite honest with you, I wouldn't if I wouldn't like to. My ultimate goal would not be to do that every day because I'll be perfectly honest with you. I am an average day trader as far as I'm concerned. Trader, swing trader, investor, I think I'm above average, and I think that that's one of the reasons I'll be able to do this for the rest of my life. But as far as a day trader, I mean, you can go on Fintuit right now, and you can find people that post the actual. I'm not saying like the graphic with the big 100% gain. I'm talking about like the entries and the exits. And these guys make video, guys and gals, frankly, make videos about exactly what they're looking for, how they do this, how they do that. There's plenty of that on there for the purpose of day trading, but that's not really my thing. Like I was saying earlier, my thing is find a story, try to be early, and then have that thesis work over time. Because when it comes to portfolio construction, what's most important is that you're not just pigeonholed. I know a lot of day traders that are really good and really successful that are flat every day at the end of the night. And maybe they do have a separate account for investments and all of that. That's not the case for me. I've got long-term investments. I do have a long-term account that I separate because I want to like not look at it. I kind of want to force myself to not look at it almost. But in my regular account, I have a mixture of stuff. I got stuff that pays me dividends. So I know on certain days when I wake up, my account's going to have more money in it. I don't have to do anything. And I know I'm going to get it. So I have dividend stocks in my account. I have long-term stuff in my account. I have speculative stuff in my account. I do trade options occasionally, although I highly recommend against doing that for newer traders, at least until you feel comfortable. Stick with the stock, stick with stuff that you know. So I would say that what's the most important thing is to diversify the portfolio. Now, the percentages on what you do, how much cash do you have, all of that stuff is kind of fungible, right? Like everyone's a little bit different. So I don't necessarily think that there's a right or a wrong answer there, but you have to have trades of different time horizons. You have to have trades with different thesis, and you have to have just different kinds of stock in a well-balanced portfolio. When in a day where tech is getting absolutely murdered, if you have a tech-heavy portfolio, that's going to weigh on you. And it's like you want to have something else to balance that off.
Well, how do you not have 1,000 positions, Ryan, for the people listening?
Yeah, so that's another good question. How do you not have 1,000 positions? Well, the first thing is that you learn real quick that you can definitely overtrade. Like overtrading is a thing. And I see this all the time because of the position that I'm at here at Benzinga. I'm often talking to newer traders. And one of the things that I notice is that a lot of them want to be active all the time, every single day. and they want to buy and sell. There's news every day. We want to do this every single day. And it's like, okay, if you can do that, if you're practiced at that, that's one thing. But that's not necessarily better. More doesn't equal better. In a lot of cases, less is actually more, right? In a lot of periods, the less trading I do, the more profit I make because I focus on just the quality positions and I keep those. So you ask me, how do I not have 1,000 positions? I really keep myself disciplined. If I'm looking for short-term stuff, I'm looking at maybe just a handful of different things that I'm willing to hold overnight. If I'm willing to hold a bunch of stuff overnight, they have to be long-term investable. Things like Apple or Goldman Sachs or something like that, Tesla or even SpaceX now. So it's discipline, and obviously you're also limited by funds, right? Like, if you start in this business and you have a $5,000 account, you're not going to have a whole lot of options. If you're fortunate enough to work that $5,000 account up to a $50,000 account, you have a lot more options, but probably you've kind of learned things along the way and you've really kind of focused on things that have worked for you. So I'm a big proponent in being able to know what I own, know why I own it, and then be able to keep track of all of that stuff. More is not always better. And I had to learn that lesson early on.
Yeah, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, rest in peace, would tell you that. Rest in peace, Charlie Munger, not Warren Buffett. He's still kicking. Tell you that concentration sometimes helps with your returns, and it can, especially if you're inside the proper position. But it can definitely kill you um, with your losses as well. Let's take a second here. I'm on the Benzinga site. You can see it, correct,
Yep.
Ryan? The tabs at the top for the people listening, for the Main Street folks. Walk us through those tabs and let's just explain what those different type of traders are, if you can do that for someone who
Yeah.
doesn't
So
quite understand.
I think the tabs that you're talking about are the custom day trading, swing trading, options, and long term that I see on the
Right,
screen.
like
Okay.
a day trader versus a swing trader. You mentioned day trading and swing trading.
So just to take a step back here, the Benzinga Pro platform is a research platform, right? It's designed to give you information so that you can make better trades. But it tries to appeal to as many traders as possible. So there are day traders, there are swing traders, there are options traders, and there are long-term investors. And what we're trying to do with the different tabs there is we're trying to give you an idea of how you can use this platform to benefit any strategy that you might have. I think one of the big things that the entire team should be very proud of when it comes to Benzinga Pro is that we've created this tool that it serves such a huge addressable market. It serves any type of trader. But it has so many features in it that the downside of that is that it can be intimidating, right? There can be a learning curve. There can be the feeling that, well, gosh, I'm not using everything, so I'm not getting my money's worth. And that's just not the case. Those tabs that you had shown there at the top were trying to give you an idea of how you can use this tool to raise the tide for yourself.
Gotcha. And then once you go into the tabs, you just customize them for yourself or into whatever you're trying to go into.
Yeah, the tabs that you have there are more like ideas. When you're actually in the platform, it'll show you a bunch of different recommended workspaces. These are designed as starting off points to kind of give you ideas on what you can do, how you can set this up, and on all of that. The reality, though, is that this platform gives you full control over things. So if you want to create a specific news feed that only finds biotech news for phase 1 and 2 results that are positive, you can do all of that. So the degrees of freedom is so huge. You can literally do whatever you want with the platform. Having the different kind of headings up there allow folks to kind of get an idea of how they can use this instead of just looking at a blank canvas. Not everybody can look at a blank canvas and be like, I see the Mona Lisa. This is what I'm going to do. It doesn't work like that. And it doesn't work like that with Benzinga Pro either. So we try to give you some ideas of how some of this different stuff can work together. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's up to you to create a customized workspace that fits you. What are you looking at? What's your trading style?
That's a great breakdown. It's almost like when I see art, I don't know what it is, but I know what I like. As they say with art.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm looking at, but I know what I like.
Yeah, same with me. Like, I don't necessarily know the history behind this, but damn, that looks cool.
Yeah. Speaking of history behind things and stuff that looks cool, let's go into your show, man. How did you go from trading on the app, or I guess they didn't even have apps back then, trading online on the web, to actually getting a show, which is pretty cool show, man. And talk about your show, please. Let's
Okay.
for folks who don't know.
Okay. So this is actually one of the really magnificent things about my job and why I love Benzinga as a company. I would just say, just right on the top, I would say that Benzinga offers different avenues for skills and passion. And I am absolutely an example of that. So I told you that I was working a bunch of jobs I didn't like. I tried to become a full-time trader. I realized I needed to have something at the same time to give me guaranteed income so I could weather the bad times when I was trading. That is 100% the case. I feel even stronger about that now. I was in a different job. I was in a different job that I had before, and it was okay. It allowed me to do this, but it was not terribly enjoyable, and I would get pulled away from things that I really did care about. So I was like, I'm just going to take a shot in the dark here. And Benzinga Pro had a chat room that had just become available. And I had typed in there, hey, I'm set up to do customer support because I've always been good with computers. In fact, I haven't bought a desktop machine since the 90s, probably a Dell
What?
from the 90s. So what I do is I build them. I buy the individual components and then I put the computer together and then I install everything. Like, I've been doing that since I was 13 years old. Side note, when I was in college, I could fix people's crashed computers. And it would be amazing how many people would have a crashed computer when I was on emergency $100 an hour. Fix it for you, right? Sunday night before you have a test on Monday, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. But that really kind of helped me get through college, or at least beer money for college. But I digress.
Nice.
As far as like computers go and manipulating software, it's been like a second, like a natural trait for me. And so the previous job that I had, I worked with this archaic software that did a really good job of what it was supposed to do, but it just wasn't that easy to use. So that company had brought me in to kind of bridge that gap between the end user that paid them and their own business, right? Like, we wanted that software to work well for them, but it had nothing to do with stocks. It had nothing to do with finance. And so when I was doing this, when I had suggested that, I was like, hey, I'm set up to do customer support. If you ever have a need for that, let me know. They added me on LinkedIn. 6 months later, all of a sudden there was a position and they interviewed me for that. And then the rest is history. So as far as how did it start by me getting my foot in the door. And I got my foot in the door by doing something that I knew I was good at and actually had on my resume. Customer support was something that I have been doing pretty much my whole life. I've always been the computer guy in some capacity. So once I got in there, I thought to myself, okay, Ryan, you're passionate about the market. You want to have a career that revolves around stocks in some capacity. And now your 9 to 5 job that you kind of need to help get yourself along, now that job is one in this very field. So and it's funny too, because the job, they hired me for a remote, and this was before COVID. So I was like remote before remote was cool. And it works really well for me, by the way, because I'm self-motivated and I'm a perfectionist in some cases, and I never run out of things to do. That is for sure. So remote work works for me. But I kept convincing Benzinga wanted, for my first week, they flew me out. I live in Chicago. Benzinga's headquartered in Detroit. They flew me out there so that I could meet the team and for my first week kind of learn the ropes from inside the office. Now, as you can imagine, I was very nervous, but I told myself going into that, I said, okay, this is your chance. Like, you don't necessarily want to be working at other jobs just to kind of get by until this clicks. This is your chance. If you make an impact here, this might be one of your last jobs. And that really sounded appealing to me at the time. So I was like, I'm going to give this a 110%. Like, from the moment I walk in the door on Monday before we open, I am going to give everything I can 110%. So that's what I did. Now, the first week was a crash course in systems. I had to learn how to fill out tickets. I had to learn how to answer the phone. I knew how to use Pro, which is why they brought me on, but I had to learn everything else that they would do, the back end stuff and all of that. So that's what I did. And then once I got comfortable, and I would say that took about 2 to 3 weeks for me to get comfortable with everything that was going on there. Once I got comfortable, I was like, now we're going to push it. Now we're going to push it. Now we're going to try to do more. We're going to try to get involved in different things. So one of the first things that I got involved with were help videos because I knew the platform so well and I was able to explain technical things in a way that a layman can understand. I volunteered to do some help videos. And my boss at the time was like, these are great. I would like you to keep doing these. And I was like, awesome, because I like doing them. Like I had played around with streaming video games prior to that. So I like know how to do all of this stuff. And I had all of the equipment already. So I was like, why don't I just try to accelerate this? Then I made the first version of our video course on how to use Benzinga Pro. And I didn't know how it was going to work. I used OBS. I used, my webcam. I put it so Benzinga was on the screen and I was in the corner, just like you would see if you go over to Twitch right now and you pick any streamer. It was that type of setup, except I was teaching folks how to use Benzinga Pro. And I wasn't sure what to expect from that, but once we got it live, it also had like quizzes in it just to kind of test your knowledge. Once we had it live, I started to see a whole bunch of people sign up for this. And then I started to get emails that were like, man, this is really good. This really helped. This is excellent. And I was like, okay, we got something here. So I'm just going to keep trying to do this more and more and more. And that just kind of grew. And eventually then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I was like, okay, not disparaging anybody here. Okay. But there were people that lived around the office that would not go into the office because of COVID. I was like, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to say yes to everything and I'm going to go and I'm going to make myself valuable. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And once we said, hey, we're going to have an on-site, it's optional because COVID, I was like, yep, I want to go. Yep. And when's the next one? Because I want to go to that one too. And so I kept doing more and more, and I kept kind of evolving every day. And that's the one thing that I will say about Benzinga. They allow you to find your stride, especially back in those days. They were very, very encouraging. Like if you have an idea that you think is going to be good, do it. Jason Raznick, the company's founder, used to have an expression that said, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. And what he was trying to say is go try things. Just do it. And if it's bad, say sorry, learn from it and move on. But don't wait around and ask. Just go out there and try things. And I took that seriously. Through COVID, we realized that there were a lot of people at home, a lot of people that wanted to get involved in the market, and YouTube was like a huge thing. So they actually hired people to do like a YouTube stream and all of that. And I just joined on one day. And as soon as I joined, I was like, okay, well, this is it. This is where I want to be. My co-host at the time was Mitch. I love that guy. I still think he's a great guy. We had a lot of fun. And then it just kind of evolved a little bit more. And I was like, you know what I really need to do is I need to focus on creating a community that's a little bit unique. So to your point about talking about the show, I wanted something that nobody else had. I didn't want to have an alert service. I didn't want to be looked at as a guru. I want our show and our community to feel like it felt for me. Like when I joined Benzinga Pro, I felt that I was joining a team of traders that I was constantly learning from, learning good things and learning bad things, frankly. But I felt like that feedback loop, like being involved with other people that were doing this was going to make me better. And I stand by that to this day, not just within Benzinga Pro, but in general. And so I wanted to create that on the show. And so I started to think, okay, well, one of the things we're going to tell people is that there's no dumb questions. Like if you get on there and you say, what's an option? I'll answer that. I don't think that's a dumb question. I won't answer it 6 times a show, but I'll answer it because I want, there's a perception from folks that are not involved in the market that it's very Wall Street and it's very elitist and all of that. And I've known people that are just regular Joes that make it in the market and then it changes their life going forward. So I wanted to have this feeling that, look, you don't have to be a Wall Street baby. You don't have to be connected to someone at a hedge fund. You can be a regular guy. It doesn't matter what you do or what you're interested in. If you work hard and you pay attention to what's going on in the market, you can make this work for you. And I was like, that's what I want the main core of the show to be. And you know what I'll do in order to do that? I'll share Benzinga Pro because this is the tool that helped me get to that spot. I'm an expert with the tool. And so what we'll do is I'll just kind of show that and we'll show how we can trade. And then I realized that people were having fun. And I also knew that this job, like the days that are good, oh, Marcus, the days that are good are so good. You literally feel like nobody can touch you, like you're invincible. But on the flip side, the days that are bad, you're like rethinking your life. Like, is this really what I want to do? And I realized there had to be like a middle ground in there. And you have to be able to control your emotions, because if you're like emotionally not right, trading is exponentially more difficult. At least it is for me. I don't know if it's like that for everybody. But if you don't feel good, if your emotions are bad, probably not a good day to trade, especially with any type of size. So I wanted to create this environment where people had fun and people are entertained, but at the same time, they're learning for themselves. So this is why you've joined the show a lot. So this is why I will often, like, we'll be talking about a stock. Someone will say, give me levels for stock XYZ. We'll do it. And then I'll turn around and ask the group, what do you think about it? What do you think about those? What levels do you see? What do you think about this news? Do you like a different peer? Do you have a different viewpoint? And I want to create this community where we can all help one another. And I'm very fortunate because during COVID-13, my co-host on the morning show that you're asking about, he's just a customer of Benzinga. And he started, like me, at a ground floor. And very, very quickly, I was like, this guy is sharp. This guy is really good at looking at charts. He's really sharp. And when he gets on a task, he like does A+ quality research. I was like, this is a guy in our community, from what we're trying to do, from our customer pool, that we should try to promote. This is another example of a regular guy. You can do it. You can do it if you put the work in. He's a great example of that. Eventually, I was able to bring him on, and that's kind of where we're at now. So the show I love it because it's basically a reflection of what I'm doing all of the time, but I've amplified it by bringing a whole bunch of other people in it. And now we're at the point where I will get trading ideas from the audience just because we've got so many people looking at so many different things.
Yeah, show's great, man. 1 to the 3, 13's good. You bring on guests and show interviews. People need to check out your show for those who have not checked it out. I mean,
definitely. We have a great community.
Yeah, I don't even want to glean on. Yeah, you defended the community the other day. I think someone got you a little agitated when what were they commenting on? Why are we talking about certain stocks or something? You were like, dude,
oh yeah,
more than a day.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. Like that's the other thing. Like I realized that not everybody is going to trade the same thing, and so I try to keep the show segmented in a way where we're going to be able to cover some of that stuff. I will say I'm a little bit biased against penny stocks. Just going to say that. I totally admit it. But for the most part, like if this is a Chinese $2 micro cap pump, if you think there's a trade there, let's talk about that. And I think what you're referencing is that there are a number of folks that join that are like, why are we wasting time with this piece of junk China name when we could be talking about Micron or Marvell? And like, there's some truth to that. They're not, these people aren't wrong. Like I get it, but at the same time, we're trying to appeal to a broader audience. And it's just, every day when the same stocks are being brought up or when the same thing is being brought up, like I want to keep that spice, right? Like I want to keep that diversity that we've talked about. I would say that I don't know that I'm actually aggravated. I am so lucky with what I am able to do. I'm lucky with where I live. I'm lucky with my health. So I don't know that I'm actually aggravated. It's more just, how do you effectively deal with random people on the internet that you've never met? Sometimes you got to put your foot down.
Trolls are they're definitely something. Sometimes you got to ignore them, but yeah, you definitely got to
it's part of it. It's part of it. You got to be able to laugh that off,
If you don't have a troll or someone in there trolling, you're probably not doing enough anyway.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. So just talking about the show, where do you see the show in like a year and 5 years from now? I know you think that far.
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, it is hard to see that far ahead. I also sometimes I will consult my magic 8 ball, and even that doesn't do the greatest job all the time. So this is subject to change. Where I see it, what I would really like to do is I would like to continue to be able to add different guests to it. I want to bring different people on from different areas of the trading and finance world. I want to bring on more CEOs. It turns out, I love interviewing these CEOs. I love interviewing other traders. I love kind of picking your brain about what is it that you see or what is it that you think. And again, that really goes back to the ethos of trying to raise the tide for everybody. And I feel like, why would you read a story that you see in some publication? I won't even name a specific one, just generally. If you can hear directly from the CEO himself or herself, why would you not want that? Sure, that you want to get a second opinion, you want someone more experienced, you want to do that, that's fine. But don't you want to hear from the people themselves? So I try to do that as best I can. I try to bring on as many people as I can. Because again, for a viewer in the show, I don't want you to be like, okay, the guys on the screen are hitting buy now, so that's what I should be doing. That's not the goal. The goal is, okay, there's information being presented here. How does that factor into a trade? Is this good for a trade? Is this bad for a trade? Is this something I never thought about? Maybe this is something that I should look into. And I think bringing on CEOs that are talking about their forward vision and what they want for the company is a really good way of doing that. So where do I see the show a year from now? I would like to just do more of that. I'd like to have more people in the community that are actually about helping others, or I shouldn't even say that. I should say participating in what we're trying to build. I'd like to talk to more traders. I'd like to talk to more CEOs. I'd like to talk to more people that are involved in finance. I'd love to get guys on like Dan Ives or Gene Munster who have been doing this for a long time and be like, what is it that you think? Tell me what you think. So that's kind of where I see the show going.
Oh, cool. I might can connect you with Dan, like if you're on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Connect us. I would absolutely love that.
We'll see what happens.
And I heard he's doing his own thing now. I heard he left Wedbush. He's going to do his own thing. Good for him.
Yeah, I saw. We're connected on LinkedIn X. Sent some messages. Not like I'm going to his house or anything like that. Don't get it
of
twisted,
course.
but like definitely make some kind of like intro. Yeah, and that would be good, man. Your show is really good. Who would you say your show is actually designed for?
My show is designed for anybody that benefits from doing their trading, investing, or research with other people. There are some people that I know that they are just like, not now, chief, I'm in the zone. Like they're locked into what they're doing. They're locked into their scanner. They're locked into their thing. They're locked into their news. They got whatever going on. They got their routine. Okay. It might not be for that. I still want to bridge that gap. I still want to break into that. But what this is for the people that say, man, I feel more confident when I'm able to bounce ideas off other people. I feel like I see more when I work with a community. If you feel that you do better in the presence of other like-minded people, that's the people that I want in the community. That's what I want to grow. So that's who the show is for, to be quite honest with you.
Got you. And like when you first started the show, were you saying like 10 people showing up to your stream and now it's grown, or
no,
you have built in?
I'm very, very fortunate in that regard. No, it wasn't like that. It was, first of all, because when we first started the video show, I wasn't part of it, right? It was Mitch, and I think there was actually somebody else in there. And then there was another show before us. And by the way, I will mention these guys' names. It was Dennis Dick and Joel L. Conan, and they were doing the pre-market prep show. You have to understand, before I worked at Benzinga, I watched that show. I watched Dennis Dick like he was someone that knew more than me, and he is still. And then I got to meet them, right? I got to meet Joel in person when I worked for Benzinga. So I was very, very fortunate that I kind of stepped into something that kind of already had, I would say, stage one completed. But so I wasn't really dealing with just the 10 people showing up. I was dealing with more than that, but I realized that, especially when things started to go different directions, I realized that I needed to carve out my own niche here. And I need to do something that is unique that people want to come back for. And I think I've done an all right job of that so far.
What do you think your secret sauce was compared to what
I think my secret sauce, again, low barrier to entry, right? This is a field that can be very complex depending on what you're reading about. I mean, I read some of these press releases right now. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, give me the AI tool to help me because I don't understand half of this stuff already. But it's a good learning opportunity. So anyone that wants to be entertained, anyone that wants to just kind of learn more, that's who's going to be most effective.
Got you. And with your show coming on, you're out there, and like you said, you're in Chicago, so you're in Central Time, so you're an hour. I guess that's an hour earlier for you when the market opens at 9:30. So you're open at 8:30. What's your like morning look like? What does it look like to get up and start a morning show like that?
That's a great question. It is a whirlwind. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. Central Time. I stumble out of my bedroom to my coffee machine so that I can actually get through the day. I make my first cup of coffee and I sit down on the couch and I start to sip that and I turn on CNBC. And this kind of gives me an idea of what's going on. Then I'll do some push-ups. And once I get to a spot where I feel like I've woken up, that generally takes 20 minutes or so, I get into the shower. I get all ready for the day, and then I get back to my desk. I shoot for being back at my desk before 6 a.m. A good day, I'm at my desk at somewhere, but maybe 5:45, let's call it. All right. So I sit down at my desk. I immediately load up Pro, and then I roll through the different workspaces that I have on Pro that kind of get me ready. But I'm preparing for the show. So I first make sure that I know what's taken place from when I signed off the day before to where I am now. What are the big stories? What's the market doing? Then I have to select news that I want to cover. I always do our kind of our stock market update because that's like a kitchen sink story that's really incredible. And then I try to pick news that I think the people that are joining want to hear about. So, for example, things about robo-taxis, things about AI, things about the memory names, these things about drones, these popular things that the audience talks about every single day. When I'm sifting through the news, I'm thinking, the group would like that, the group would like that, the group would like that. And I make sure that I have enough news to get me through the morning, the A block, as we call it. As you know, we try to line up different guests for that. So we've got great repeat guests like Tim Melvin, Mark Petrino, Anne Marie Band, these people that have worked with us for a long time that are just absolutely phenomenal, both phenomenal people in the market and phenomenal human beings on top of that. And it's just about kind of getting ready. So when it comes to Benzinga, I take a look at why stocks are moving. I take a look at what the broader market is doing. Then I look for the list of gappers. I say, okay, what stocks are gapping here? Do I see any trends in here? Do I recognize any of these stocks? And then what stocks are new issues, if you will, or have a new piece of news, or I don't really know what's going on. And I kind of separate those. Then I prepare the news for the show. Then I think about my little opener that I try to get a smile with every single day. Then I make sure all of the audio and video is ready. Then I speak with my producer to make sure that we have a understanding of what the rundown is for the show that day. Then we go live.
Boom. And then you're only like 3 hours.
Yeah, we go live at 7 a.m. Central, and we sign off at either 9:30 or 10 Central. So it's 2.5 or 3 hours every day.
And then when you finish that, what do you do?
After that, I am at that point, I'm up, I've been 100, and I've been sitting for 3 hours. So the very first thing I do is I get up and I go take a walk. I get outside, I go touch grass, I breathe in fresh air, and I don't want to hear, I live in Chicago, so I don't want to hear any of this, it's cold. No. It could be minus 10 degrees. I am outside getting fresh air and moving around. The human body needs that. We cannot sit at a computer terminal for 12 hours a day, every day. It is not good for your mental health. It's not good for your physical health. So every single day, I do some type of exercise, some type of movement after my 3-hour session, or actually with the prep hour, it's actually 4 hours right away. And then as soon as I get back from that, I dive into what I need to do at work. I answer emails. I answer support tickets. I work with the team here, both on the content team, the video team, the B2C team, which is business to customer, which is our subscriptions. I go over whatever we need to do for the product itself. So we'll have meetings about what we're planning for the next installment of the product. We have team meetings and all of that. So I do all of that work stuff pretty much the rest of the day. And then every Monday through Thursday, we have the happy hour show. The happy hour show is a Zoom call. It's only for pro customers. We want really to keep that exclusive. It is a Zoom call. And this thing, remember I was telling you about Jason Raznick saying, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. This was one of those things. This was born out of that. It was during COVID. Everyone's at home. We realized all people wanted to do was talk about the market. So I figured I got an idea. Why don't I create we'll call it a happy hour, right? And actually, at the early days of that, I was encouraging people to bring their own booze to that, because I was like, the work day is over. Let's have some fun. Let's lighten the mood here. So we created this show called Happy Hour, where we basically just shot the shit about what happened. We talked about the day, we looked at charts, we looked at setups and all of that. More and more people started to join. And within like literally the first month, I started to realize that I was getting people that were joining that from all these different walks of life. And I was like, man, there's value here. Like one of the guys that's been joining since COVID is a retired 40-year private equity veteran.
Hmm.
Imagine the amount of things he knows. Just
Yeah.
for a second, imagine that. So what we do, we have this thing, we had a piece of news about stock XYZ. We say, what does this mean? And he'll, a lot of the times he'll say, I've seen stuff like this before. I know this, I've got this trading idea. We kind of blend all of these different people and their very unique backgrounds into one group where we just talk about stock ideas or talk about what happened. Actually, a couple of years ago, we had a gentleman that worked for Google who was of Iranian descent. And one of the days he was just kind of talking about what it was like. And a couple of the folks in the happy hour asked him about what was life like. And that session turned into a 30-minute history lesson on what happened and how a lot of these people fled Iran back in the day and why and all of that. So you never really know what's going to happen there. But again, that was born just out of just try something. We knew people were at home. We knew people wanted to talk about stocks. So we tried something, and it's been running ever since.
Man, that's extremely cool. Like, and the history of all of it definitely matters. People like more than folks realize, especially when you're investing, when you're learning about community, because you're going to have bad days in the market. The people on Wall Street clap every day when the market closes because they make money whether it goes up or goes down. But
That's right.
individual traders, they don't have that
That's right.
same hedge or back funding to be able to do that. I know I don't want to steal all your time. Just a couple more things I want to talk about. Let's talk about in digital crypto, let's just throw in IPOs and SpaceX. What's your take? What's over there? Where are you sitting over there in Benzinga right now? Because I know there was a shift where people were saying this is the SpaceX IPO forcing people to leave Bitcoin and crypto. Is that why we're seeing large caps come down, which even continued today, like you mentioned with the market, we saw semis coming down. So what are you seeing over there at Benzinga? Where are y'all hearing when it comes to crypto and IPOs and SpaceX?
Okay, so first of all, what I can say with crypto, and I have learned this since I started at Benzinga, there is absolutely an appetite for this. There are people that have worked here, and there are also people that still currently work here that are big on crypto, big believers of this. So you asked me, what do I see over at Benzinga about crypto? I see there is a future here, and it might be kind of wintry right now, right? It might be a little bit of a stormy night right now. When Bitcoin was hitting new highs, 120,000, this and that, I mean, it was wild times. There were a lot of folks that had Bitcoin from very, very low prices. My first Bitcoin buy, by the way, was 6,000. So
Nice.
And I felt late at the time, but that's neither here nor there. So as far as Bitcoin goes, we're kind of on pause right now. It's a little bit of a winter, but there's a huge appetite for it, and it is definitely not off the radar. Now, as far as SpaceX goes and the rest of these IPOs, it is all of the rage. I mean, SpaceX, like, I think this company 10 years from now could be one of the most influential companies in American history, depending on what happens and what we end up doing. They are just into so much. There's an AI angle. There's a leaving the planet angle, which is still difficult to kind of wrap your mind around. Before, that had really only been done by the government and NASA and things like that. And it's like now we have private companies that are like, actually, we want to go to a different planet and we want to mine asteroids and all this crazy stuff. So to me, one of the things that's so exciting about this job is that there is so much cool stuff in the future. And the SpaceX and some of these other IPOs that we're expecting, like OpenAI, Anthropic, and so on and so forth, it is all part of the same story. The future is going to be incredibly exciting. And we feel as if we're kind of at the nexus of that. So a lot of the people that work here are news junkies too, right? So a new piece of news comes out, they want to be the first to read it. They want to understand that. And that attitude is just kind of pervasive around here. So a lot of optimism, I would say, to answer your question.
A lot of optimism. You mentioned that you got in Bitcoin at 6,000. What inspired you to buy Bitcoin?
Just talking to friends. I was talking to friends. They were trying to explain this to me at first. I was like, I don't really get why you would do this. And then I watched it go from 5,000 to 6,500. And I was like, okay, maybe it's not just like this fad story or something. Maybe there's actually something going on here. And then I would have my friend kind of explain it to me. And I admit I didn't totally understand it. I was like, decentralized what? There's no paper? Well, what are you talking about? But I started to just kind of watch, and I was like, oh, I'll try it. A couple $100 at 6,000. A couple weeks later, it was 18,000. And I'm like, oh my God. And then it would come back to 7,000. I'll buy a little bit more here. And it would go to 20,000. I'm like, that was a good move. That was a good move. So where did I learn about it? I learned about it from a friend. I saw its volatility. And as I started to read more and more about it, I was like, there's a lot of really good ideas here. A lot of really, really good things here. So I think this is going to be one of those things where down the road, you're going to look back on it and be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I didn't do that. So I was like, at this point, I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I was like, I'm going to put what I can in here. And that ended up going huge. So
Are you still holding, as they say? Holding.
No, I do have some. I have all of my Ethereum. I've never sold Ethereum because I stake it and earn APY off of it. But I did finally crack, and I did sell a large chunk of my Bitcoin. I ended up buying a BMW with it. So.
It's not a bad thing to do, man.
No,
you said with like regret, like,
well,
I sold my Bitcoin.
Well, because like, look, I say that now, but if in 10 years from now, someone finds this podcast and they look back at the date and they're like, so he sold his Bitcoin at 100,000. And then they look over at the current price of Bitcoin and it's 1.1. We'll see if it was worth it then. It was definitely worth it now. This way. And here's the other thing about that. One of the reasons I chose to do that is because along this Bitcoin journey, I cannot even count the number of times I've been told by people that I know, this is a scam. It's a fraud. You're going to lose it all. I remember when this first was happening, when it first went to 18,000, the guy that I was working for at the time, he's like, this is like a triple from where you bought it. Like, I'd probably sell it. I'm like, no, I think there's more to this. Like, what's a couple grand? Like, I want to make more than that. And he was like, oh, it's silly. And then it went back down to 7K. It's like, I told you. And then it's at 50K. And I'm like, sup?
Yeah.
What's going on? So there was definitely like an element of, I told you so, when I ended up selling that, but.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. I don't know, from 5,000 to 100,000 versus 100,000 to 1,000,000. Those are both fine percentages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Increases. Yeah. Like, no one's complaining about that.
Just to be clear, I'm not complaining about any of it. Okay, so a digital currency 10 years ago, or maybe not 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I'd have laughed at you if you had tried to pitch me on that. Now I've owned one. Now I've actually made money off of it. And now I've exchanged it for something in the physical world that I use every day and love. So the circle's complete, my man.
Hold on, did you pay for your car with a Bitcoin?
Yeah, it was actually a down payment. I didn't pay for the entire car. And actually, it's funny because when I was in the dealership, I asked them, I said, do you take Bitcoin? And they're like, nah, bro. So I actually had to sell the Bitcoin and use the fiat for the down payment. But
gotcha. That's actually really cool. That's really cool. Ryan, before we hop off, man, it's been a really good conversation. I could talk to you for like 2, 3, 5 hours, but we can't do that today. Before we go, so everyone in the world always sees, well, not everyone in the world, but like we're sitting like on your show and just in general, everyone sees everything going great. Traders usually see it great. And if it's not good, it's usually for a day. We've been at a time where buy the dip has just worked. Retail trader has carried this market since 2025, if you ask me. What could break this market? What would be a sign you see where it's like, okay, it's time to do something different? And what would you do?
Okay, that's a really good question. What could break this market? Well, given where we sit here today, I'm going to be a prisoner of the moment. Looking like it's not going to amount to anything would really create trouble for this market. No question about that. More specifically, if we see a retreat or a very fast retreat in the price of memory or DRAM, I think that could also serve as a downside catalyst here. If it turns out that some of these circular funding worries from some of these AI companies actually creates a big problem that leads to like a company collapsing, I think that could be a calamity for a lot of these other stocks and then subsequently the market. But I'll be honest, man, other than that, the way that the market just kind of handles some of the different like macro things that you can't predict, like the conflict in Iran and all of that stuff, the way it handles it, man, it feels tough to come up with things that would really break it. I would say just a huge like tragedy to the American government or something. I didn't even want to put it into the universe, but if something really, really terrible happens to, the American government or the American financial system, of course that could end up kind of cracking things. But ultimately, I think I want everyone to remember that breakdowns are not necessarily a bad thing. If you're getting ready to cash everything out and the market declines by 50%, it's going to suck. I'm not trying to, sell you a bill of goods here. But if you're young or if you've just gotten into this, big time pullback in the market is actually what you want because you're going to be able to buy quality companies at discounted prices. And the final lesson here about this is that there will never be a time, at least that I can see, where I would bet against America. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not ever going to do that. We have our flaws. We have our things that don't work sometimes, and there might be some things to avoid. But in terms of outright betting against it, never going to happen. There is nothing in this world that has created more wealth than the United States stock market. And so when you talk about what a crack, a move down, I almost treat that as a reset. Now it's time for new flowers to get planted and new gardens to grow. I'm always going to approach it with a glass half full mentality.
Very good. Very good. Great way to frame it. And people should realize that, yeah, unless you're retiring in like the next year or two and you need that cash, these dips that we see are like really great buying opportunities. Volatility is where you make a lot of money. The alpha created inside of there. You could take the approach that Ryan took where he bought the stock at $9 and went down to 70 cents. And I guess he just kept buying it, buying those dips and he saw the returns. It's just great framing and great way to think. And the American exceptionalism trade, people say whatever they may say about it, but it worked for several years and it looks like it's going back to where we're framing it right now. It seems that we're going back to the American exceptionalism trade. Ryan, I said in the chat that I was going to ask a couple questions before we go. What's
Sure.
your favorite color?
My favorite color, I would say it's a tie between green, blue, and purple. I guess there are some art or color nerds out there that say black's not a color. I love black. So I would say black, blue, green, and purple. A tie really depends on my mood.
You just named 5 colors. You are a Bears
4.
fan.
4.
Yeah, and I'm a Raiders fan with that math.
Okay.
Several colors. Favorite Power Ranger?
Favorite Power Ranger? Gosh. So it started off as the green one. I think his name was Tommy. He was tall and had a sweet ponytail. And he would whoop ass back then. But very quick back then, it didn't take long for it to be the pink one. I mean, she was super cute. I don't know what to say.
She's still running around somewhere, I think.
I'm sure.
Any message you want to give to anyone watching this podcast, whether it's now or like you said, 10 years in the future?
Yeah. Okay. So the advice. So definitely, if you're interested in making your life better, definitely think about finance. If you absolutely hate numbers and you can't, and you have like a mental block for that type of thing, find a financial advisor, a better yet, a fiduciary, someone that can actually help you and look out for your financial best interests. But that's a caveat because what I've learned in my life is that there is absolutely nobody in this world that cares more about your money than you do. So learn what the different levers are. Learn how to make it work for you. Learn how you can kind of generate that. Learn how to build wealth so that you can enjoy the latter years in your life when things might get a little bit more difficult or you don't have some of your circle around you. Warren Buffett has a famous quote, and I might butcher it here, so I'll just paraphrase it. You have to find a way to make money while you sleep. Otherwise, you're going to work until you die. And I'll be honest with you, Marcus, life is too beautiful and too grand to spend the entire time working. I'm driven. I have goals. I've got things I want to do. But man, I like enjoying it too. I like enjoying life. I'm given one of these. I want to make the most of it. And so I want to be as active as possible in creating my financial future and giving me myself the freedom to do things in my life that are important for me. And I think everybody else should do the same thing.
That's very good. That's great. Great points. Great way to frame and way to see things. Ron, how do you say your last name? Faloona?
Faloona.
Faloona?
Faloona. So just I'll just get the elephant in the room, just get it out of the way. When I was a kid, I would get made fun of. It was very, very easy to see my last name and say, oh, Balloona or Balboona or any other funny word based off that. It's pronounced Faloona. The story goes is that I'm half Irish, half Polish. The name itself is Irish. The story goes is that when my Irish ancestors arrived here in America, they were horse thieves in Ireland, and the name was O'Fallon. And in order to avoid being detected and to be more American, they took the O and moved it from the outside to the middle and added an A at the end for America. And
That's pretty American
Faloonas.
right there. That's about as American as it gets, man. I'm going to let you go, Ryan.
Take it.
One more question. Last question. If you were not here, if you died tomorrow, what would you want the world to remember you for?
Oh man, I didn't think you were going to go that deep.
Boom.
I would think that I would want the world to know that every day, I did my best to try and raise the tide for everybody around me. It doesn't matter if we're watching a Bears game. It doesn't matter if we're trading stocks. It doesn't matter if we're doing something for work. It doesn't matter if we're just hanging out, washing cars or something like that. I tried my best to make things better for those around me. Because I think that it's very easy to be selfish in life, especially when you're kind of focusing on your own goals and all of that. But if you can actually make the life around you better, there is so much reward in that I would want people to be able to remember that.
I think you've made your mark with that one, Ryan. That's good stuff, man. For anyone who wants to find you, tell them where they can find you and end this episode, Ryan. How about that? I'll let you.
Okay, that sounds good. You can find me on X. I am at Faloona, so that's RFALOONA. Of course, you can also find me here at Benzinga. Just type Benzinga into YouTube, and you're going to see videos with my face on it. If you join our ecosystem, you will probably see me in some capacity at some point, or you'll be able to talk to me. Or you know what, man? Why don't you just go watch Pre-Market Playbook? www.youtube.com/@Benzinga. You can join our show every single morning. We talk about the market, obviously. We talk about investments, but we have fun. We talk about sports. We talk about pop culture. We talk about life. Come hang out. Come say hi.
Main Street Hard meets Wall Street Smarts. Thanks, Ryan, for joining us. That's great.
My pleasure, Marcus. Thank you.
What another great session with Ryan Faloona. We just took you inside the engine room, stripped away the media noise, and showed you exactly how institutional order flows, block trades, and unusual options sweeps dictate momentum before it ever hits mainstream headlines. This is how you bridge the gap between Main Street and Wall Street. Now, we didn't drop this level of raw, actionable data just for you to sit on it. It's time to execute. I need you to take action right now to solidify your edge. Hit the like button and subscribe. If today's deep dive gave you a clear view of the market, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an instant premiere live strategy session. Also, share this broadcast. Don't let your circle trade blindly on old headlines. Share this video right now with at least one investor or trader or family member who needs to stop guessing and start leveraging real-time market mechanics. Please drop your comments below. We want to hear from the community. What specific scanning tools or data indicators that Ryan broke into today or you implement into your game plan first? Drop in the live chat or comment section below. Ryan and I'll be checking in. And then if you're over on LinkedIn, check out the Wall Street South Journal. It's a great place to get some of my market insights. And then if you're looking to upgrade your financial tools, you can give a trial or check out Benzinga Pro. There'll be a description in the link. Also, Monarch Money for budgeting and budgeting tools to help you clean up your budget and track your net worth. automatically. See how your portfolio grows. These are affiliate links to this one, so if you do use them, I may be compensated at no extra charge to you. But Ryan, thank you again for bringing that fire to the show and the community with real execution looks like. Family, the data is in front of you. The tools are in the description. Stop reacting, start strategizing. Remember, you got to make informed decisions. I'm Marcus Dermott Sr., founder of the ABC Square financial planning firm, host of the Main Street Meets Wall Street podcast. Let's keep building, let's keep executing. We'll see you next live stream. Remember, Main Street Heart meets Wall Street Smarts. So much on this channel right now. Share it with someone. It's an outlet. Thank you, Main Street.